Hi, Jane.
Hi, Lisa.
So you're my very first interview on the new Teesside Rising project. I'm re-interviewing everyone I interviewed as part of the original artist residency, and
Right.
I'm inviting other people, including yourself, to conduct interviews of their own. But I really wanted to start with you first because that day that we had together very early in the morning down at Disgraceland, being interviewed for BBC Radio Tees for International Women's Day, that was the last pre-lockdown creative event that I was involved with. So
Well, possibly myself as well, because I only had another couple after them, and then that's it. Really, it was finished from then. So
that's why I've
it's
come to you
disgusting.
first.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to pretend I don't know anything about you or your venue,
Right,
and I'm going to ask you who you are and how you're involved in the creative arts in Teesside.
right. Yep. So you're firing them at me, or you just want me to sort of like give you a little rundown?
Yeah, give me a rundown, and then if there are any questions that you haven't covered, I'll come back to them at the end.
Right. Well, basically, I'm Jane Jorgensen. I run a little place on Baker Street in Middlesbrough called Disgraceland. Now, Disgraceland started in its early days, in its first form, it was a vintage clothing shop. Now, I feel like I was very artistic with my displays. There was always art involved. I felt like my vintage clothing shop in itself was a work of art. Anyway, so that was how I started. Freaky deaky people were always coming in. It was always like a nice mix of people that used to come in. And that's how I got introduced to Bobby Benjamin, who was very instrumental in the art scene in Middlesbrough. Now, my vintage clothing shop was kind of, I would say the dynamics of the area where I was placed shifted to more of the entertainment sector, to more of experience, pubs and things. I'm trying to make it sound chic, but there was like the dynamics of the shopping area shifted. So I thought, well, I need to jump on. I need to survive. I need to do something to keep up with this new trend, or my business will fall. So meeting Bobby, I also met another lovely girl called Najeda, who's an artist and lives in Spain. She was moving to Middlesbrough. And I got talking to these guys. I got to know them very well, and I decided to start throwing mini events within the vintage clothing shop. So I started, my very first art exhibition was with Najeda. Life colour everywhere. She's beautiful. She does beautiful illustrations. We mixed them in with the clothing, and we did our first little event, and it went really well. Bobby came. From that, Bobby asked me if he could use Disgraceland as a gallery as well. It was something a little bit different, a clothes shop as a gallery. So we moved on from there. So I was working on what it was called a temporary events notice. More and more people started to ask me if they could do events, if they could do exhibitions. And the clothes kind of took a back seat, and I carried on, because the inspiration I was getting was full, like-minded people like me that I hadn't really come across in Borough, because they all, the vintage clothing scene, being honest with you, is quite fickle. Clothing fashion is quite fickle anyway. And as soon as that buzzword vintage had gone from, what do we say, the high street, I mean, it just became impossible to trade, because the purists of us, people like, there wasn't enough of us, if you understand what I mean. So this is why I went into doing my small events. So that's how Disgraceland in its form now was created. So I took this a stage further. I had to move premises. I had a landlord who thought he could cash in on this Baker Street phenomenon and decided he was going to sell. The place is still up for sale. So I moved over the road. So it was a new start for me, a new start in this new Disgraceland. And I started doing events. I was working with Bobby. I've done a couple of events with Bobby, a lot of Bobby's friends. Mark Parnham got me involved in Cruel Britannia. I think that's where I met you. Yeah, was that Cruel Britannia? Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, but we don't know each other, do we? And Cutty Bang, John Paul asked me to do it, so I started meeting performers, and it all kind of, it's just people, my kind of people. I found a lot of good friends, a lot of like-minded people that I'm really being honest with you, I didn't know existed in Middlesbrough. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't in the scene, and it's brilliant. I love it. I've been very much inspired. I spent a lot of time in Berlin. My inspiration comes from bombed out buildings, ruins. I don't want my place to look, I love graffiti art. I love something that just looks a bit eclectic, but I don't want shabby chic, if you understand what I mean. I'm more into the grittiness, the rawness. I used to go to a place in Borough called the Rock Garden. I don't know whether you ever remember that. It was a gritty pub, a gritty venue, dirty toilets, and, you know, look at pictures of CBGBs. I love all that kind of scene. So that's my inspiration for where I'm going with Disgraceland now. I don't want all fine walls. And we do our event called Picasso Baby, which I had this idea to get a lot of artists down. We collate this with Bobby and John Paul Prangi, who I've met, who's a local artist and creative person. And my idea was to just fill the place full of art on an ongoing basis, so it changes all the time. So it was a unique place to visit. Every time you come to Disgraceland, it looks different because there's another little bit of... This was in full swing, the arms are going, and COVID hit. So, you know, a little bit stumped. It kind of stopped me in my tracks. I had so much in the pipeline. It's given me a little bit of time to reassess my stress levels, because I used to get hyper stressed over every single event, and sometimes my stress would spoil it for me because I couldn't enjoy it. I was that stressed. So I think a little bit of a step back, a little bit of like, Jane, reassess your whole attitude towards it, enjoy it a bit more. Fingers crossed I can cling on. We've got a little bit of good news from Rishi. And, you know, that's the story so far, Lisa. Have I covered everything you wanted me to cover?
It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, for me it was quite it was fantastic finding you, and particularly when we had that Cruel Britannia, like Sleaford coming to Disgraceland before their big gig.
It was a coup for Middlesbrough, never mind Disgraceland.
Massive. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I've been going on and on about how excited I was about everything that was happening in the creative arts in Teesside.
Yeah.
People were like, you know, they can't even spell it, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Suddenly when that happened, it was one of the first things where people started going, oh, you know, maybe there is really something happening there that and also, I just wanted to clarify, because I just think it's so brilliant, like the Picasso Baby events. It's not just artists bringing artworks to Disgraceland to display. You actually just redecorate, don't you?
Yeah, carte blanche. They can do what they want. Walls, ceilings, toilets, cupboards, anything. It's an evolving piece of art that I think is quite unique in itself. I don't think you could find very many places that would allow people to do that and just express themselves, a little bit of individualism. People come in. I mean, we've got like a little family now, the Picasso, and people want to get involved. I'm getting, you know, it's such a shame for the COVID thing to hit, because really kind of snowballing and getting a lot of interest from outside companies as well, like i.e. Red Bull. I have a Red Bull fridge and all this, and I stock Red Bull. Now, when the Red Bull guy came to have a look at Disgraceland, he was like, God, I've never seen anywhere like this. I'd go around the whole of the north of England. He said, there's been nothing like this. So I don't know whether I was in for, like, he said, you know, we could talk some kind of sponsorship. And I don't want to get too corporate, but money always helps. Do you know what I mean? And so people like that were interested in the concept of Picasso Baby. So I just feel like I've got a unique product out there that I am not losing for nobody. So COVID, you can COVID off, because I am coming back with a vengeance.
Brilliant, absolutely. I mean, it's that kind of attitude that makes you such an important part of what we're doing here, really is. And also, Picasso Baby, it's like almost Tibetan in its way, in that like you're going in and creating amazing art that's going to exist only until the next Picasso Baby.
Yeah.
Written at any time, and I just love that. It's just got, it's got something about it. And as you say, I don't know, I've not known anywhere like that before.
No. So let's keep it going. Get butter on the map. You know, we've got a good scene going here. We've got the auxiliary, Pineapple Black. I mean, you know, Bobby's great. I didn't really know Liam a lot. We've got Carmel and Graham down at base camp, but you know, there's a lot going on. We need to all get together and keep focusing. Over the lockdown, I must admit, I haven't engaged in much. This is the first time I'm engaging, because my head's just been, I couldn't get my head around it for the first few weeks, months. I was like, what? Do you know what I mean? But kind of like fighting spirits back. I've been down there, I've done a few little alterations. I don't particularly want to dive in and open straight away with all these restrictions at the minute. I'm just going to try and sit back, and maybe I'm going to try and do something like social bubble parties or something like that, so you can bring your own social bubble to Disgraceland. Maybe
Great
something
idea.
to think about. So just going to space it out, see what we can get in, so we can still have our little, you know, we're doing a Picasso Baby, a digital one, a book, which will be launched at the on Sunday. And doing this has got me back into, got my head right, and, you know, get back into meeting people, seeing people. It's great, really. And we just carry the momentum on now. See what Rishi's going to bail us out with.
Yes, let's hope it is, you know, the smaller grassroots venues like yourself that the money goes to, because, you know, they're the ones that really need it.
I mean, you know, this is it. It's not as much as other countries got in that sector, but at least it's something. And my running costs, really, I mean, like I say, I'm not going out to do a £30,000 refurb to make it look smashed up. I'm actually going in to smash the building up. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
You know, it won't cost me a lot. So,
Absolutely. Not when you've got all those artists in the local area.
Ready to smash the building up and do little bits of shit. Do you know what I mean? You're right there. Yeah, I don't need the refurb. But you know what I mean, don't you? I have to go and do things to get it logistically, health and safety, COVID correct. Do you know, I've just been going through. So there will be things I'll have to put in place. But that's that's to get me on. But I don't want to be too sterile and anal in there neither. It's not the feel of the place.
No.
So we'll just have to hang fire there, Lisa. And when we open again, we open with a smash.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Jane. And really
you, Lisa.
when we can get out and get back down to Disgraceland.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you for involving me. And speak soon. Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Go for now. Bye.
Bye.